girlfriend has a strange new hobby. My girlfriend has developed a strange new hobby, and it's getting harder to convince myself that this is just a passing phase. Harder still to ignore the gnawing whisper in my mind that keeps asking, am I safe? We've been together for 7 years. For 3 of those, she was in nursing school, and I shouldered the financial weight so she could focus. When it came time for me to return to school, she did the same for me. Without hesitation. We're both employed at the same hospital now. Different departments, different shifts, but we've carved out a life together. We're financially secure, emotionally stable. Or at least we were. Until a few weeks ago. I'm giving you this background for 2 reasons. First, to make it clear that we're not reckless teenagers or emotionally unstable strangers playing house. We're adults. We've fought for this relationship through stress, debt, burnout, and grief. We've built something real. You don't throw that away just because things get weird for a little while, right? Second, our line of work demands a certain level of emotional distance from the disturbing. Blood, gore, bodily fluids, these are mundane details in our world. What would send most people reeling doesn't even quicken our pulse. That desensitization is important to understand, because what's happening now, it's beginning to stretch even my limits. About a month ago, life was running in sync. We had routines, efficient, rhythmic, almost mechanical. Morning coffee, synchronized workouts, passing shifts like ships in a harbor. Dinner together a few nights a week. Sleep, repeat. Boring maybe, but comforting, predictable, safe. That safety evaporated on a Thursday evening. I came home from a 12-hour shift, exhausted but content. Normally, I'd be greeted by the sound of music drifting from the kitchen, the scent of something simmering on the stove, and her soft humming in the background. But that night, the house was silent, stale, no lights on, no smell of food or candles, nothing. I called out for her, but the house swallowed my voice. Something felt off. I found her in the backyard, kneeling on the grass with her back to me. The dying sunset threw long shadows, stretching her form until she looked unnaturally elongated. Still, motionless. "Babe?" I called out, cautiously stepping into the yard. The grass crunched under my shoes. Dry, brittle, almost too loud. She didn't respond, didn't flinch. When I reached her, I laid a hand on her shoulder. She jerked slightly, as if waking from a trance, and turned toward me. Her eyes were full of tears, but my attention locked instantly onto what she was cradling in her hands. A crow. Dead. Its wings twisted at unnatural angles. Its chest gaped open in a precise line. A red canyon of exposed viscera and slick organs. Blood pooled in her palms and dripped into the grass beneath her like a silent metronome. What happened?" I asked, barely able to form the words. She stammered out an explanation. She'd seen the bird struggling from the kitchen window. It had been flapping erratically, leaving a crimson trail across the lawn. By the time she got to it, it was already gone. She didn't want it to go to waste, she said, her voice quivering. She wanted to examine it, to understand what had happened inside. Medical curiosity, she called it. Harmless. Normal. I didn't agree, but I nodded. I didn't want to shame her. We all cope with stress in strange ways. So when she asked if she could keep the body in the bathtub of the guest bathroom, I said yes. That was the first. There are 5 now. Each of them, crow, squirrel, cat, even a dog, laid out side by side in our bathroom like grotesque anatomical exhibits, all of them dissected, all with that same careful incision from throat to belly. Stiff, bloody, soulless. 4 days after the crow, I came home to find her on the driveway, tenderly holding a dead squirrel. A few days later, she burst through the front door, panting, clutching the tiny broken body of a Yorkie puppy she'd seen run over during her evening jog. Then a cat, then a large, shaggy stray dog that I'd seen lingering around our trash bins for weeks. That last one, that one broke me. It was nearly midnight when I pulled into the driveway. The headlights cut through the dark, revealing her silhouette, hunched, disheveled, dragging the dog's body across the sidewalk like a sack of meat. Its blood smeared behind her in a glistening trail. Her expression was vacant, her eyes glassy and distant. Her hair clung to her face in wet strands, and there was something in her posture, feral, unhinged, that made my breath catch in my throat. I ran to her, panic overtaking me. "What the fuck is happening?" She didn't even blink, just looked up and said, flatly, "Put it in the bathtub with the others." I wanted to scream, to run, but I didn't. I told myself she was unraveling, that this was stress-induced, maybe even PTSD. We see things at the hospital no human should have to see. Some crack under the weight. She just needed help, that's all. A therapist, medication, rest. That's what I told myself. Until last night, I woke up to a sound I couldn't quite place. Like breathing, too close, too slow. And when I opened my eyes, I saw her. She was kneeling above me in the dark. The glow from the street lamp outside slanted through the blinds, striping her face in shadow and pale light. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. Her face was only inches from mine, and for a full, paralyzing moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. She reached down and touched my throat. Her fingernail traced slowly, deliberately, down my jaw, over my sternum, and stopped just below my navel. The sensation was icy, mechanical, like a scalpel. I wanted to scream, to move, but I couldn't. I was frozen in a suffocating cocktail of fear and disbelief. I stared into her eyes and saw nothing. Just that same vacant fog I'd seen when she dragged the dog across the driveway. Then, without a word, she rolled over and went back to sleep. I laid there, drenched in sweat, heart pounding in my ears, too afraid to close my eyes again. In the morning, I told her what had happened. She laughed, dismissed it as a bad dream, said I must have been sleepwalking again, or hallucinating from exhaustion. "You really think I'd hurt you?" she asked, still smiling. I didn't answer, because I don't know what to think anymore. What I do know is this: there are 5 dead animals in my bathtub. My girlfriend, my partner, my future is acting like a stranger, and every day that passes, I feel more like I'm living with something that is becoming less human. I love her. I want to believe this is fixable, but there's a weight pressing down on my chest now, heavier each night. I can't shake the feeling that I'm not just watching her fall apart. I'm watching something else take root inside her. And I'm starting to think I won't be able to stop it. I don't know what to do, but I think I'm running out of time. Weeks ago, I accepted a contract that felt like a golden ticket. $4,000 a week to monitor security camera feeds at a private research facility. Remote island, full autonomy, no contact, no oversight. Just sit, watch, and report any anomalies. Simple. The offer came through a defense subcontractor I've freelanced for over the past few years. They always paid well, never asked questions, and often dealt in classified gray areas that most people wisely stayed away from. This job was labeled urgent, solo placement only. All travel, food, and housing provided. Duration, minimum 30 days, renewable. I should have asked more questions, but I didn't. I was behind on rent, behind on sleep, burned out from bouncing between high-stress gigs and low-grade paranoia. This sounded easy, solitary, even peaceful. And the money? Well, let's just say $4,000 a week buys a lot of silence. The helicopter ride in was quiet, ominously so. No pilot banter, no flight crew, just the steady thrum of rotors slicing through the fog. 45 minutes over a slate-colored ocean. No birds, no ships, just endless water and sky. When we landed, I got my first real look at the island. It wasn't big, maybe 1.5 miles across, covered in wind-bent trees and overgrown grass. The facility itself looked abandoned. 5 squat concrete buildings, weather-stained and windowless, clustered like forgotten bunkers from some Cold War outpost. Antennas clawed at the sky like rusted fingers. One helipad, no dock, no vehicles, no signs of life. The handoff was minimal. a clipboard with a laminated schedule, a single page of typed rules, a duffel bag of clothes, and a man in a black coat who handed me a set of keys and vanished without a word. I didn't even catch his name. The rules were simple. Monitor all camera feeds 24/7. Log anomalies in the provided terminal. Do not leave the facility perimeter. Do not attempt to access restricted areas. Do not contact HQ unless via emergency channel. Trust the system. The system sees all. I was escorted into the control annex, a reinforced concrete bunker with no windows, 2 deadbolted doors, and a single point of entry. Inside, a sleeping cot, a kitchenette, a single bathroom, a backup generator, racks of dried food. And the nerve center, a long curved console displaying 78 camera feeds on wall-mounted monitors. The cameras watched everything: hallways, laboratories, storage units, server rooms, empty holding cells, electrical bays, roof access points, even the helipad. Most of the footage was static. Clean, sterile rooms. Nothing moved except for the slow pan of ceiling fans and the occasional flicker of failing fluorescence. At first, it was boring, but over time, boredom curdled into unease. By day 3, I was talking to myself, just to hear another voice. By day 5, I started sleeping on the floor next to the console. By day 8, I stopped tracking the days entirely. The only messages I ever received came through the satellite terminal in brief, text-only fragments. I asked once what had happened to the staff, why no one else was here, why all 78 cameras seemed to watch over a facility that felt completely dead. The reply came 9 hours later, in a single line: "You are not authorized for that data." Then, on what I think was day 11, something changed. Camera 12, one of the hallway feeds from sublevel 3, went dark. Normally, this wouldn't alarm me. Some cameras flickered occasionally in the wind or lost signal during heavy storms. But this wasn't flickering. It was total signal loss. No static, no interference, just black. Curious, I checked the wiring diagram. That's when I noticed something strange. There was no sublevel 3 listed. According to every schematic in the console's archive, the facility had only 2 levels, ground and sublevel 1, nothing deeper. Except I knew camera 12. I'd seen that hallway a dozen times. White tile floors, sterile lighting, a fire extinguisher on the wall. It was there. It had always been there. Until it wasn't. At 2:46 a.m., the feed came back online. But it wasn't the same hallway anymore. The lights were dimmer, like they were running off a dying generator. The walls were stained with long vertical streaks, dark and crusted, like rust or dried blood. The extinguisher was missing, and at the far end of the corridor, just barely within frame, a figure, standing, still, facing the camera directly, not walking, not moving, just present. I tried to zoom in using the console commands, but the image distorted, the pixels blurred, the figure remained still. Too far to identify, too close to ignore. It felt like it was waiting, watching me. I hit the emergency contact key and initiated a call. It rang and rang and rang. Then every monitor on the wall went white, static. All 78 feeds dead. The console rebooted automatically. When the system came back online, camera 12 was gone. Not offline, gone. Not listed in the grid. No data, no archive. Like it had never existed. I sat there for hours, trying to convince myself I was sleep deprived, hallucinating. But everything else in the system worked perfectly. Logs, interface, camera rotations, all except 12. This morning, I tried to radio for extraction. The helipad is still there. The antenna array is functional, but no signal is going out. The satellite phone simply flashes "no link" every time I try to connect. I've rebooted every system twice, checked power, checked signal strength. It's all working, but I'm alone. Worse, When I went to check the back storage room for backup supplies, I noticed something that turned my blood to ice. The crates labeled month 2 and month 3, already opened, already empty, like someone had been living here longer than me, or maybe like I was never meant to make it to month 2. That's when I began to hear it, the humming. It started faint, barely audible, like machinery buried beneath concrete. A low, mechanical lullaby, rising and falling in rhythmic tones. It doesn't match any equipment I've cataloged, and it's not coming from the control systems. It's coming from beneath the floor. At night, it gets louder, and when I sleep, I dream of that hallway, the one from camera 12. Same dim light, same peeling walls, same heavy silence, and at the end, that figure, closer each time, still not moving, still watching. I don't know what this place was built for. I don't know what they were researching, but I don't think the cameras were ever meant for security. I think they were watching something they couldn't contain, something they buried too deep to escape. Until now. If this message gets out, if some data slip lets this reach anyone, don't come for me. Don't try to help. Just delete the job listing, destroy the logs, bury the name of this island, and pretend it never existed. Because I think the real job wasn't to monitor anything. It was to be monitored, and whoever they send next will be watching me.